We often discuss about poverty, but we never discuss about poverty porn. The term poverty porn was coined by Jørgen Lisner, the director of a Danish voluntary aid agency in 1980s. But what is poverty porn? Well, let me give you an example that we really enjoy. Take every talent hunt show in India, be it Saregamapa or Indian Idol or Dance Plus show. What you will see? Some good contestants who have been suffering from poverty. Every now and then they describe their poverty in the show like there is no one more poor than them. Every time when their performance was over, the camera shifts to focus to their mother who had tears in their eyes, and like in Daily Shop, they started their own drama of poverty. And we have some Neha Kakkar or Remo D'Souza to add some more fuels to this. And this strategy works for the reality show. They gain TRPs. This strategy of grabbing attention or sympathy of the mass and gaining popularity is poverty porn. But this strategy of using poverty for promotion or campaigning for funds is not a new phenomenon. There was a popular show in 1950s called The Queen for a Day, which was hosted by Jack Bailey. The show used to invite 4 women who shared their sob story, the story of their own struggle in front of the audience. And finally, the winner was selected through the use of applausometer or clapometer. Louder the clapping, more the chance to win the show.
In hospital and be in bed for 2 weeks. She'd like a replacement for herself with 7 children. Your applause for number 2. Thank you. Thank you. Number 3.
And the winner got everything they need. They were treated like a queen for a day. The show was hugely popular back then that its runtime was prolonged from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And you will be surprised to know that this show used to charge $4,000 for 1 minute commercial, which was really huge. For decades, development charities have turned to the imagery of extreme suffering and destitution to raise money and promote awareness for their campaigns. This is poverty porn. The depiction of the people suffering poverty as helpless and hopeless to aim to evoke an emotional response from the viewers and move them to give generously. It is a means to appeal to the kindness of humanity that at the cost of dehumanizing others. It is doing more harm than good. Poverty porn is rampant these days in our country. During the COVID outbreak, suddenly everybody is worried about the migrants, the laborers and the maids and in general the poor. As if these poor people have suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Whether you like it or not, poor people are hit the most whenever there is an extraordinary situation. In severe summer, poor people die of heat while we notch up our supplies of ice cream, ice beverages, air conditioners and swimming pools, and many even head to hill station or Europe. In severe winter, the poor people die of cold while we comfortably snuggle under the quilts, heavy woolen clothes and steaming mugs of hot chocolates. We have heaters or even artificial fireplaces to keep us warm, and in fact for us severe winters are reminiscence of many cozy moments we have spent with our families and loved ones. People who have multiple houses in multiple parts of the country or even multiple parts of the world move to warmer region during winter. In a heavy downpour, the roofs of the poor people fall or their houses get submerged while we enjoy the rain from our balconies or verandas. They are electrocuted, they lose their belongings, they get bitten by snakes and other deadly insects that come out during rains. In otherwise highly stupid movie Parasite, they have correctly shown how a heavy spell of rain affects the rich and poor differently. For the poor, a heavy downpour becomes a matter of life and death, and for the rich, it is time to enjoy the sound of raindrops over their manicured lawns. During a natural calamity, the poor people are affected the most. It is mostly the poor who die of hunger during famine, in the times of war even. People who have money or resources are better off compared to poor people. For that matter, poor even make each other suffering due to the subhuman existence. They loot each other, they steal from each other, they kill each other for a morsel of food. At that level, it's about survival. Since time immemorial, the poor people have suffered. They have suffered more during adversities because they don't have the means to protect themselves. Hence, their suffering during the COVID outbreak is nothing new. Sure, the suffering can be reduced, and wherever possible, it must be reduced. It just puts people's bodies, their misery, their fear on display with all the details and all the discretion that a telescopic lens will allow. But to the poverty porn peddled by the so-called bleeding hearts, that helps no one. If it helps someone, it is the very same system that perpetuates poverty. If poverty porn was really helpful, then the poverty would have been really eradicated from the earth. It never happened or will happen ever. Because poverty is a big enterprise in our country, people who are constantly caterwauling about the plight of the poor want poor to remain poor. Poverty is their livelihood. Political careers are made over the dead bodies of the poor. Writers, journalists, career activists, and the intellectuals push their livelihoods streaming on the sullen bodies of the poor children. NGOs help the corporate bodies to make a way to evade tax. There is an African proverb that if you give a man a fish, he would eat and come back again for another fish tomorrow. But if you give a man a boat, he will go and be able to fish for a day for himself. So what's your opinion? Write below in the comment section. I'll be waiting for your valuable comments.